Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. I am your host. You are the audience. Sorry about being a moment late today. Um, as many of you know, my wife and I have several animals. We have four dogs and two cats, and we just got through getting everybody through their annuals, and everybody's healthy as can be. Uh, and Edmund, who has separation anxiety, social anxiety, is absolutely the kind of dog that you can't really take in public for fear he'll eat someone. And when I say someone, I mean like an animal. Um, so we had actually last weekend given him some medication and he was fine. And to calm him down before we took him in for his appointment yesterday, we thought we'd give it uh, trazodone. Okay, and he has ataxia now. I don't know. I hope it isn't forever. Um, think of it like I think of it like the physical embodiment of vertigo, right? Ataxia is like a loss of coordination and balance. Um, if any of you know anyone that's a vet, um, obviously I pretty much laid out what's wrong. We gave him trazodone, and he's basically been woozy over 24 hours. I'm just worried it's fucked up his brain or something. Um, so I had to like carry him outside, and he's like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do?" And just like pee. And he can like walk, not real, not nearly as agile as he was before, and he's didn't sleep all night, which means I didn't sleep all night because he had to be up against me. He's basically pushed me off the bed, and it's bad juju. Um, but I kind of always chuckle when anything happens to me because I'm like, I always put off this air like my life's good despite what's going on around me in the world. And it's like every now and then you just get snapped up by reality, right? No, it's not that I like deserve it, but it's like I have so many things that are going well that like I kind of need a problem to focus on. Gives me gives me something to think about, like what's the best thing to do. Edmund, the two little pits that we have, the one with the white snout, looks like a little cow. Hmm. He's my buddy. Pam and Ed are like my dynamic duo. Ernie, the German Shepherd, is my wife's dog. That dog is imprinted upon my wife. Yeah, me too. I hope Edmund gets better. It sucks. Sucks seeing it's like akin to watching someone age, right? It's the same kind of feeling where you're like, oh man, you know. I hope he's just like I said, it's like the physical embodiment of vertigo. Two steps forward, one steps back, wide stance, kind of looking around like what the fuck is going on. Didn't sleep at all last night. He was rocking. Hmm. The He was at the vet yesterday. Yeah, he's the one medicated for the vet, and they were like, "Oh, he's got ataxia, which is like trazodone drunk, and he'll be fine. It'll go away." And it's like, okay, 24 hours later, not quite 24 hours. So again, he's moving. Hey, wow, he's moving. And getting better is like a what the fuck are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like I'm not a doctor, and I hate it when people that aren't around my animals all the time are like, "Oh, they're doing better," and you're like, "I want to punch you in the throat." Like, you don't know what my dog is like. Like, he has extremely high energy and athleticism, and so when he is not displaying any of that energy or athleticism, something is fucking wrong, right? Uh, I'll let you know if he eats and drinks. It's not to say he has or hasn't. I want to say he ate yesterday. All right, so beyond a shadow of a doubt, biggest story of the last 24 hours are not my dogs. So, biggest story in the last 24 hours is Donald Trump was told in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files. Okay? So, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Harold, I want to say that's a Marine Corps thing, but I don't know anything about toilet sinks. Um, but yeah, I again want to point out, as someone who is neither a Democrat or Republican, and could really give a shit who's on that list. If they're on that list, I want to know. It'll absolutely affect whether I do business with them or not. Uh huh. Yep. And I've already seen some photos in the last week that I'd never seen before. That I'm like, oh, I get it why the Democrats have been so fucking quiet. Bill Clinton. I know why billionaires have been so fucking quiet. Bill Gates. And that's just the tip of the fucking iceberg, baby. We're talking about the President of the United States. Is most certainly a pedophile. What the fuck are we talking about? And a felon. Yeah, that's right. And a shitty businessman. I just want to point that out too. Just because fuck him. Okay? But yeah, he got told, like, in the last few months by the Fed, like, bitch, you're on that list. There are too many people's jobs hanging in the balance for this list not to come out. And, they tell you when you're growing up, don't meet your fucking heroes. Here's to hoping your heroes ain't Diddy, fucking Bill Gates, and Bill Clinton. Let's just hope them ain't your fucking heroes. Okay? And don't shake their fucking hand either, dirty some bitches. What the fuck was that noise? Anyway, here's Axios.com. The Republican GOP led House panel votes to subpoena Epstein files. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about this bullshit. Okay? Al B said, so, question, we all know he's guilty. What's going to happen? So, here's the thing, Al B. Wild card. In the last 2 weeks, Donald Trump was speaking with his aides and asking if he should just resign over this Epstein shit. And look how far he is going to try to cover it all up, sir. And I'd ask you, now that you know those things, what's up? Fuck you mean? He's caught. His shit is fried. There's nothing he can do about this. It's a slow leak. It's what I've been telling you all along. The media, you have to think about legacy media when you think about how stories are coming out. And in your brain hole, you have to know it has been a slow leak of information since May, has it not? To the point where we're now, just now, seeing fucking photos of some people that you and I didn't even fucking think about. In a million zillion fucking years, would I think the founder of Microsoft? No, mostly because he's not my hero and out falling around like a little fucking kid, right? I ain't no fanboy. I ain't no fanboy. No, the only person I've ever fanboyed the fuck out over are Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Shaquille O'Neal. That's it. Everybody else, it's like, what? Don't meet your fucking heroes, man. Especially if they're a fucking billionaire. Because again, I've said, you have to step on some shit. How did I get my live access removed? What the fuck are you talking about? What? What did I say that was wrong? What did I got blocked on TikTok? Which of that was incorrect? I'm actually kind of wondering. But yeah, dead ass. A lot of people are like, nothing's gonna happen to him. And I'm like, what? In the last 2 weeks, he talked to his aides about just fucking resigning to keep all his Epstein shit from coming out. And then look at all his Epstein shit coming out. Like, he's cooked. Yeah, I was like, what did I say that was wrong? I didn't say anything wrong. Anyway, I'm not gonna worry about it. But yeah, I mean, it's super frustrating trying to be alive because like all the things that you thought about this person wound up being true. Sure, sure. Except he's thinking about quitting, and he's doing a whole hell of a lot to get. We got banned, friend. Yep. I don't know what I said that was wrong. I felt like I was on one though. Damn. You ever feel like you were just like, mm-mm, 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 mm-mm. You're like I was doing good too. What the fuck? And I was gonna say the this GOP-led House panel that voted to subpoena the Epstein files are just gonna. Under the Desk News posted the evidence list. They found 10 high school yearbooks. I can't believe I got snapped up quick, bro. 15 minutes into a show. And by the way, I was posting links too, so it's not like we wasn't all hyperbole. But yeah, a lot of people are concerned about who's on that list, and you know who I'm not fucking concerned. That's right. Because I didn't hitch my wagon to either party nor any of its candidates. And the real uh, problem are the people being quiet about it that are elected officials. That you totally seem guilty when mum's the word. hmm when you're not able to speak out, my appeal did not get approved. Uh, Let me just a moment, please. Penelope Jones. By the way, it's called getting clapped. Yeah. So Just want to make sure while we don't dance around subjects. I'm not sweating a fucking TikTok ban. I'm not. Remember, this show is not for profit. In fact, in fact, it's probably better for us if we don't have a super wide and growing live audience. It's probably not great given what we're doing. Yeah. And think about all the things you can get away with on TikTok. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about it is I see other creators like fighting back, creating multiple accounts, and I'm just like, I'm not here for the money. I'm not wasn't looking for a job. The message is the same whether there's 15 people or 150 or 1500, right? It's important to have someone in your life that you can just sit down with and talk about current events that isn't going to play the devil's advocate, that's not fear mongering, that's just pulling from relevant news sources and plotting it on the table and saying, hey, this is what's going on. As opposed to just watching mainstream media and getting confused. I don't feel confused at all. I feel like I live with a pretty good amount of clarity because we and I say we have sat here um, for the better part of 9 months every day and looked at the news. Yep. They don't know we go live. We can go live on Clapper just as fine. As long see my thought process is based on my lack of getting banned on every other platform. As long as you're not trying to get people to be violent, you should be fine. Like, I think I'm gonna sneeze. I'm just holding out till that happens. hmm But yeah, good morning, everybody. Uh, I hit up my agent, Miss Penelope Jones. Normally, she says shit like, Jared, come on. You deserve that, dingus. But every now and then she goes, let me do my little type foo. And bang rang Rufio, here we go. Sitter allergies are awful today. Well, I hope they feel better. But all right, I think we've had an interesting 24 hours. Um, I was off yesterday, so I sat around with my dogs and my cats. It was hilarious. I don't see. I was raised that you don't pick up cats and just carry them the fuck around. That's not what they're for. And so we've had a hell of a time rounding these fucking things up when it's time. Yeah, when it's time. When it's time to take them to the vet and you got to round them up, they want to fucking play games. They don't want to. They don't want to go. And so yesterday we had a hell of a time getting Karen. By the way, I have a cat and her name is Karen and she's a pain in the ass. Oh, how did we know? We put her in a carrier and I took her to the vet and I'm sitting in the vet's office waiting on this veterinarian to come in and check out my animal. Let me tell you what this little shit was doing. Okay? This little run away from me at every chance and doesn't want anything to fucking do with me is laying on her fucking back, letting me rub her belly inside her fucking cat carrier. She didn't want to get out. You little turd. So, about that shit, Karen. That thing fucking runs from me. You'd think I beat it up. You think I drop kicked that fucking cat or something until it got a little too comfortable. And then I'm like, you seriously, you're laying on your back in public? What's wrong with you? Like, this is no way for a lady to act. You know what I mean? Like, she completely let me inside her guard. I was like rubbing all on her neck and shit, and she was fucking loving that shit. It's like, who are you? You know, it's just funny. It's like, and then when the veterinarian came in, she clammed up and it like hid in a corner. Yeah. No, Bruce was is a lover boy. He's he don't like mind being picked up. He would prefer if you leave him the fuck alone, but like you pick him up and he's like, all right. Karen's like, you're about to see some shit. You know what I mean? Cookie, Jackie, and Cody. Cease has. My cats and dogs play with my white and black socks. So I just gave up on them and said, you know what? They're not destroying my carpet or my drywall. I can sacrifice some socks, and I'll just get socks that have designs on them. And now they don't destroy my socks. It's when they must think they're stained, which is perfectly fine with me. But yeah, I just thought it was hilarious how a cat that won't even let you pick it up, that we had to chase for a good hour to get prepared to go, and she just laid on her back and was like, "Yeah, okay." And then she cowered when the vet came, but they clipped her nails and she got her shots and cleaned her ears out and said she got a little ear infection. It's like, okay, put these eardrops in there. Okay. Jackie takes paper out of the garbage. She says funny. But yeah, I'll take a problem. That's the way I think about it. As soon as it happened, I was like, it ain't no lucky me. It's just, oh, you remember how Donald Trump, how do you clip their nails in? You take them to the veterinarian and they charge like $5 or less. Sir Archibald von Cuterpup and Lady Daphne von Cuterpup. Jesus Christ, crush. Archie and Daphne. I always call my dogs sir and ma'am. Like, good morning, sir. Yeah, okay. So Donald Trump has known for months that his name's in the Epstein files. The Department of Justice told him his name's in the Epstein files. A Republican-led House panel, so that's his team, voted to subpoena Jeffrey Epstein files. Hey, I'm just throwing this out there. I'm just throwing this out there. If the Republicans are voting to release the Epstein list, it's going to be doctored. They're covering for somebody. Uh-huh. So it can't be Donald Trump. Bridgerton names: Daphne and Archie. Archibald. Did you know Bridgerton's the first time I ever watched someone get stung by a bee and die? And I was just like, what the fuck did he just get shot? Like, no, he got stung by a bee. And I'm like, what? And then he just died. And you're just like, what a bitch ass way to die. Nova and Sir Gandalf the Grey. Angie asked, what happened to Epstein's lawyer? He was 83. Bondi told Trump he was in the Epstein files. Democrats mount 11th hour push to subpoena the Epstein files. Uh, Ilhan Omar called the GOP the pedophile protection party, the PPP, for dodging. That's funny. P cubed, pedophile protection party. Well, Republicans are going to have a hard time shaking that name. Something to remember, though, as again, we're slamming Republicans and Democrats. Um, Donald Trump was a Democrat for the better part of 30 years, donated over $35 million to Democratic candidates, including Hillary Clinton. And, yep, the PPP party. Clearly, they're looking for PP. See, that's what I'm talking about. Donald Trump hung up in 30 seconds when he got asked about the Epstein files on CNN. Hell yeah. I mean, if uncovering the fact that the President of the United States is a known sex trafficker, too. Again, it's all part of the plan. He's going to resign. They're going to use the 25th Amendment to replace him with J.D. Vance. And something to keep in mind is that nobody likes J.D. Vance. Like, here's the thing I've said for a long time. Like, I'm a cocky son of a bitch, right? I'm a cocky motherfucker. But I'm not a poke. You get what I'm saying? If I was a poke, couldn't be this cocky. If I hadn't spent all that time downrange, you know what I'm saying? Like if I hadn't spent all that time at the range, I'd be a lot less cocky. JD Vance, like he does not have it. He doesn't have the feng shui. He doesn't have the personality for the gig. He's woefully unqualified. You gotta have either the chops, like you either gotta be capable or you gotta sound capable. One or the other. You either gotta fake the funk or you gotta be funky. Al B said, breaking news are eating dogs and cats. Oh, yeah, beware of the fucking distractions. Obama committed fucking treason. Tulsi Gabbard's an idiot. She looked like a stone moron when she's like, Barack Obama committed treason, and you're just like, bitch, please. Come on. So, it's about that time. I'm just saying, for a mass shooting, it's about that time. We haven't had a super traumatic school shooting in a long time. By the way, what happened to all the sleeper cells and the fatwa? I think you keep pushing the Epstein button in hopes that it makes Donald Trump, do the thing. Here's 73-year-old Louisiana Senator John Kennedy freezing up on Tuesday afternoon during an interview. Yes. Yes. Donald Trump is fucking furious by all the Epstein coverage. Hey, I don't know about you, but if the guy that is oppressing me is saying, don't talk about my connection to Epstein, and he was kind of being a dick anyway, we're talking about Epstein, like a lot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bondi is facing calls to testify. If she plans on staying a lawyer, yeah, yeah. I'll 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 always think of this situation as the polar opposite of how I treat my friends, especially in the wake of their death. I'll always remember that Donald Trump very likely had his best friend killed and his best friend's partner, or you could just call Ghislaine Maxwell, like Jeffrey Epstein's wife, uh, imprisoned. I just want to make sure we keep that at the forefront of like you cannot trust someone that treats their close friends this way. Hey, look at how Donald Trump has treated his best friend and his best friend's wife. You know, I learned something when I started coaching high school football because I seen the way my head coach treated people that he didn't value. And it says the most about you how you treat people that can do you no good, is something that comes up often. Donald Trump, in terms of his best friend for the better part of 20 years, he's working awful hard to distance himself. Debs asked, "Did you hear about Project Esther? Is it is it Project Esther or is it Ether?" Project Esther is the initiative of the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank focused on suppressing pro Palestinian protests and what it identifies as anti Semitism. It receives support from End Crystal Words, founded October 7th, 2024. Project Esther is a national strategy to combat anti Semitism. Mm-hmm. It exclusively focuses on anti Semitism on the left. So, free Palestine and Slava Ukraine. And yeah, absolutely. Conservative think tank in Washington, D.C. Here's the Wikipedia entry. The good news is that you can't keep secrets anymore and it's all out on the right. Gabby said, right, look how fast the fallout with Elon happened too. Yeah, pretty tumultuous relationship, ultimately ending pretty ugly breakup. Mm-hmm. This is just how the gays do it, you know? Those old school gays. Somebody's got to die, somebody's got to lose their net worth, you know? Stacy Marie said, "My birthday's October 7th. It's been tainted since the attack." Listen, Stace, listen, listen. What I would do is adopt Halloween as my birthday and celebrate the fuck out of that. And just change. That's what I would do. I would not hold on to that day at all. In fact, I would let the day come and pass, and I would celebrate the fuck out of Halloween instead. And I would make that my personality during Q3 or 4, whichever. I think it's Q4. hmm Speaking of Elon, where's he been? He's been very quiet, hasn't he, Al? I imagine he is. Have you ever watched one of those videos of a building that's, oh, that some bitch is burning down, and there's one idiot with a small bucket running back and forth from a fountain, throwing a small bucket of water on this clearly burning down large building that he should probably get away from? That's Elon Musk, and the burning down building is Tesla. You're welcome for the eating lots of Ben and Jerry's. Halloween's my Halloween is my favorite holiday. Hmm. October, pretty killer month. You heard some fear mongering on Project Esther. Well, fuck yeah. I mean, they're basically, you say anything pro Palestine and they're gonna call you anti-Semite. Let me explain this to you. I When I was a little kid, I grew up outside Chicago. My best friend was a little Jewish boy. His name was Patrick Vanish. We both went to Purdue and we were friends in college too. It's just I think he moved out west or something. He's a water polo player. Couldn't have been anything more or less alike, right? Closer or farther away friends. We were friends, basically friends our whole life, right? It's just adulting, right? Now, Jewish people aren't a monolith, but I stayed all night at their house for years as a child at a Jewish family's house. And do you know what we didn't fucking ever talk about one motherfucking time? Israel. And that's because um, Jewish people aren't a monolith. And not all Jewish people are pro Israel. In fact, from what I understand, a healthy majority of Jewish people themselves are not a big fan of Israel. Understand that the Israel that stands today is not the Israel from the Bible. Today's Israel was founded in 1948, 77 years ago, by David Ben Gurion, who was then the head of the Jewish Agency. Words. The purpose of Israel is to mimic the United States' expansionist and imperialist ways and become like a staunch ally to the U.S. in the Middle East. And they suck at it, so they are committing a genocide instead. And I don't care if they are our strategic ally. I don't care. I don't care that being a politician in the United States doesn't pay that good. And you want to get policy passed, you got to take money from somewhere. And apparently, the only two choices were Russia and Israel, because that's the United States now. Remember, every elected Republican took money from Israel or Russia. Sorry, don't fuck that. Don't fuck up now. Every elected Republican took money from Russia, and 100 elected Democrats take money from AIPAC. And some of the biggest beneficiaries from AIPAC Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Hakeem Jeffries. Democrats. Staunch Democrats. Powerful Democrats. Angie said pays $174,000 a year, and you get lots of perks. Seems like a decent amount. That's why you gotta elect poor people. You can't elect rich people who are gonna take a pay cut to get into office and are gonna be like, oh, fuck all this. No shit. No shit. The thing about it is, it's like write a book when you get done and make some fucking money. Boo boo. Right? The problem is now all the more reason people to get elected to office, and if they're wealthy, you really can't vote for that. Personally wealthy, can't vote for that. You got to vote for someone that's like doesn't take PAC money, um, right? It mostly has small donors and $100 or less donors. That's what you want to see. There's 50 and below and 50 to $100 donors. Anything above that is considered learning a lot about campaign finance. This is what happens when you start a political party. But yeah, why did Columbia University fall for Donald Trump and give him money? He extorted them. Cease. Just like he has like a whole lot of other people. We good here? He's running an extortion racket on these media companies. I don't have any questions. You know what I mean? Like he's extorting them. They need their funding. If you'll remember, I believe Columbia was pro-Israel when all this shit first started. I think Columbia was the big uni that came out and was supportive of him. So they're giving him money to get back in his favor so that their school doesn't fucking go to shit because of a lack of funding. Remember I told you the pendulum swings just as hard the other way. So when this is it all feels like it's like bad and that can't nothing possibly good come out of this. Know that like look how hard he's working to keep the Epstein list from becoming public. And he's already asked these fucking staff if he should just fucking resign. It's hurting him. It's hurting him. It hurts him. Keep fucking doing it. All the more reason. And all the more reason to call the GOP the pedophile protection party. Because that is fucking money. Ilhan Omar. Got it. You gotta hand it to him. And hey, here's the Wall Street Journal saying that these documents being released will be hugely consequential. Hey, I don't feel shit if he has to resign. And what do you think happens when he ain't president no more? And by the way, we're talking about in the first 6 months of his second term, the president of the United States was asking his aides if he should resign over a sex trafficking ring that he was basically like a part of. Stacey Marie said, "I want Obama to do something big." I mean, he did come out there and say, like, I don't even normally respond to shit like this, but this is fucking insane. It is what I gathered from his statement. But you got to understand, you're not trying to stress out. your fucking Secret Service. Because don't they get that for life? You're not trying to make them work too hard. There are some people worth like they kind of got to live different and move different. Bo and the missus is one of them. But he did say he'd testify under oath. He ain't got nothing to fucking hide. The only thing you really shit on Obama about, I'm pretty sure, the only thing you can shit on Obama about is a couple things. He did deport a whole bunch of fucking people, like 3 million people. People did call that inhumane. Uh, and also drones. He was heavy handed with the use of drones. And understand that those drones aren't autonomous. They've got a fucking person flying that fucking thing. It takes a toll on the pilot. Yeah. In terms of Barack Obama, don't start no shit, won't be no shit. Remember at what was that funeral that they was at, and him and Barack Obama was talking about some shit. Remember they was being friendly, and everybody's like, "What the fuck is going on?" Seemed like he'd be like the last guy Donald Trump would target. Maybe he is. I think we're getting down to the fucking end. I think you're getting down to the end. Yeah, when Jimmy Carter died. Yeah, Jimmy Carter's funeral. Vance has been taking a lot of vacay. Mm-hmm. Because he think he's powdering up. He's trying to get a little color on his cheeks before he becomes the president. The technocrat. He gets his job that he wrote himself into. By the way, I want to continue to point this out. Peter Thiel, who's a majority shareholder of Palantir, cease asked Jared, where'd you read that? He asked his advisor if he should step down. He asked his aides, like his little White House aides, if he should step down over this White House shit. Yeah. A couple videos yesterday by Big Bust in Alabama, Red Alabama, underground bunker full of kids. One was 3 years old. They were able to arrest some of the adults. Good, good. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think he has an advisor. We're just talking about the aides in the White House, just the suits. Morning. So hey, I think we're having a really good discussion this morning. We talked about Project Esther. We talked at length about how Donald Trump is really struggling over this Epstein list shit, and it's important to continue to talk about it. And one of the ways that I'm going to continue to talk about it is I will never forget that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump are like best friends for the better part of 20 years, and I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump had him knocked off and stuck his girl in jail too. And I mean, think about it. Think about who you call your best friend, and think about unaliving them and then using your power to stick their partner in jail while you go scot free. It means Stephen Miller. Hmm. So that's how I will remember this situation, is because he doesn't have any fucking friends. Him and his own vice president, they can't be on good terms. Not when Donald Trump's threatening to have JD Vance investigated for what happened in that conversation with Rupert Murdoch. Just like he offed his ex-wife, right? Didn't she like fall down the stairs or something? Except she never took the fucking stairs. She always took an elevator or something. His mental decline's getting really bad. He's rambling and not making any sense. Yeah. Yep. Imagine. Hope we all get to see Taco Petto in prison crying. No, he's not his type. Remember that I said this. JD Vance is not Donald Trump. JD Vance does not have the charisma that Donald Trump has. When they did an autopsy, they found bruising in her abdomen. Do you know how hard you got to get hit to have bruises in your abdomen? The reason why she's cremated is so they can't take her out of the ground and do another autopsy and guarantee that? Yeah. Yeah, but when you're not well liked, you're not pulling shit on people. You're not getting away with shit. Donald Trump got away with shit because he's tied up with the mob. JD Vance ain't tied up with nobody. They don't like the cult. Don't like JD Vance. I've been telling y'all. The man wrote himself as king. He made Donald Trump king for now. He will take the crown. It's not gonna go well. Remember, JD Vance wrote Project 2025. MAGA's gonna have to come with that. They're gonna have to come with to terms with that at some point. Hmm. There's too many people that are saying like they're giving JD Vance credit, and I'm like, what? The document was public before the election. We had the playbook. This means Democrats and the fucking DOJ had the playbook. They knew what was coming. Good luck at your garage sale, Kara. Hope you sell it all. Hope everybody just buys it for what you're asking for it. And then it's not too goddamn hot. It's very hot. Today it's this hot. Today I didn't even have to walk this usual number of dogs. I was wearing a t-shirt and you know, and shorts when I went outside. Uh I guess I did have to carry Edmund outside and then back into the house. It was so hot outside that after I walked the dogs, came back in the house, sat down, then I started sweating, and then I took a shower, and then a half hour after I was out of the shower, I stopped sweating. Hmm. That's how hot it is. Hmm. And it didn't even feel that warm outside. It's just that humidity. Yeah. Oh yeah, because you're a little north of me, so that means I'm probably got a little worse. I think. This is gross. Today's housing market is so upside down. There are more senior citizens buying homes than Gen Z and millennials. This tells me that today's generation, um, they do their homework and they don't. We're not paying 6 to 10% interest on a home. Nope. Yep. Make sure you drink a lot of water. Jeffrey Epstein's financial secrets are sitting in a Treasury Department filing cabinet, says a Democratic senator. Ron Wyden. Stephen Colbert getting a little more ballsy, calling Donald Trump micro penis, DJT. The only president less popular than Donald Trump right now is Donald Trump during his first presidency. Yeah, I'd rather have a dry heat than humidity. Agree. Hold on. I was live over here. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah, my live ended there. There you go. Colbert should go all out. Hell yeah. He has nothing to lose. May, March or May next year. Oh yeah. Well, I think you have to. I don't see Stephen Colbert not fighting back as helping him in his next endeavor. It just sucks to say it. It's just true. Hey, the only way Stephen Colbert helps himself is to become an opponent of Donald Trump's. You call it what you want. Whether he needs to run for office, I don't give a shit. But you don't fight fascism by laying down. That's not how you win. That's not how you being violent's not gonna get you there either. So don't worry. This isn't one of those situations where I'm gonna flip on you and be like, "Oh, it's time to go be violent." No, you're not gonna hear that shit. You're not gonna hear that shit from me. You're gonna hear me tell you, "Hey, get off of these people's applications that are tracking you, that are gonna use the IABA, that are gonna use Project Esther, that are gonna silence you on Facebook, on Threads, on IG, on WhatsApp, and Messenger, and Twitter. Don't use these sites." And it's not that there's like other places to go, it's like you just don't use these things. If I was really bad about it, we wouldn't be on YouTube. If I was really bad about it, we wouldn't be on Twitter. We would only be on third party platforms that are owned by a co-op, right? Instead of having like a traditional CEO and board. The Pentagon has evidence that Pete Hegseth texted classified information. Here's Epstein's brother. Mark Epstein refuses Donald Trump's claim that Trump never visited Epstein in his office. South Park lampoons Trump and shocking season 27 premiere as creators ink $1.5 billion deal. The long running satire returns after a 2.5 year hiatus. Hell yeah. Yeah, whiskey leaks, right, Gabby? Major drinking problem failing again. By the way, my entire life, I have bit my fingernails till they bled. And you can just gesture generally at what has happened in the last 25 years and say makes sense why you'd bite them. But I wanted you all to know between COVID and all that's happened in the last several years, I'm a lot more wash your fucking hands, clean up after yourself than ever. I mean, a lot of people got depressed after COVID hit and stopped fucking cleaning. And I went the other way and was like, cleaning keeps you alive. Haha. um, but I just want to show you, I don't, look, I don't buy my nails. I stopped buying my nails. So I got a new job where it's on both hands too. Somewhere I have bruises on my right index and right thumb nail. I don't know what from. Like, what the fuck hit my hand? Anyway, but yeah, I hope that you live in such a way that you are working out your demons and that you are working on your problems. And there I mean there are going to be people that are like how can you be improving your quality of life? Look at what is happening around you. And I'd say, well, you owe yourself love first. So, hey, you're actually supposed to take care of yourself first so that, if you take care of yourself, then you could potentially take care of someone else. But you can't take care of someone else until you can take care of yourself first, right? Um, but that's one of the things that I'm focusing on with all this shit going on around us is like, I never attached myself to the Democrat or Republican parties. So I'm not living and dying with their successes and failures because I'm not a fucking Democrat and I'm not a Republican. I don't want to see any of those people fail, right? But what we've realized is that neither of those people give a fuck about you either. They're not out here championing for your rights. Mum is the fucking word from the Democrats, and the fucking Republicans are the ones doing all the thrashing. I want to continue to point out how inefficient and ineffective they are, and how they're decreasing our quality of life. And I take the exact opposite stance, and I say, listen, y'all, there's only 600 seats of government in the United States. There's only like, it's like 535. Okay? I promise you that the best person for the jobs doesn't have the job. There's a 70% chance that whatever elected official you're looking at either takes money from Russia or AI PAC, or they're part of the Blue Dog Caucus. That's a group of 54 Democrats that vote conservatively. Yeah, those goat fuckers. So we want representation that represents us, right? Um, I'm a socialist. I'm pro equality. That means whether you're white, black, Asian, you're welcome here. Whether you're, and are there other things I missed? Uh, if you're a, LGBTQIA plus, you're welcome here. You won't find me judging you for being different. You'll find me accepting you despite it. And I'm pro union. If you think about Citizens United and how do you fight back? Unions. How are people still winning in the age of Citizens United? Unions. You just saw in the last few months pilots get paid out $1 million each, from profit sharing, and they're due, and they should be paid well, right? These are your the fairy in the sky, right? And that's fairy, Ferry. But yeah, if you look at the last 70 years, the rate of growth of unions has been on the decline. It's because people don't have as many specialized jobs anymore. We're not as hard on kids growing up. We don't push them to be athletes. So they graduate high school and they have no fucking concept of what it takes to be an athlete. So then they get sedentary jobs and lifestyles. hmm and spend, a good third of their life fighting some developed disease, whether that's like a diabetes or a heart disease. That's the American way. hmm Right? In my eyes, that's what the American way is. So I think the reason that you don't have the best people running for the job is because best often looks like it has the most money and has the most visibility and has all the quippy shit to say to the bad guy, but that's not leadership, actually. I know a lot of people think it's like Gavin Newsom or it's AOC or it's you know what I mean? Like they think these people, hell yeah. Or I think, I think happens a lot. People get elected and they get into office and they realize they can't really do anything. That they're ineffective. And what they decide to do is realize I can't make any changes within my own party or within my own country. So now I'm just going to see how much money I can make and I'm going to enrich myself. Well, one thing that you'll notice is no one's coming along trying to debate me. You ever notice that? Nobody wants to debate the socialist. It's hard. I come out and say I have a platform, I have ideas, I have things that I want to do. And you know what everyone else has to say? We just want that not to happen. And that's on Republicans and Democrats. I say I want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing. And you know what they say? Nothing. They don't have a platform. Their platform is Republicans absolutely do not want universal health care, education, income, and housing. And Democrats, the better half of them, more than half of them, are going to vote to keep profit in the pockets of billionaires every time. Remember, one of the first things that Joe Biden did when he got into office was side with the railroad over the unions and force them back to work. And again, I tell you, you could say you're pro labor all you want when you make anti labor fucking movement. Again, one of the things I don't own and I've never called myself is a Democrat or Republican. Why? Because, for example, you know what I've noticed? And again, I'm just riffing at this point. Not a single white cis male or female has come out and said, I'm really disappointed in Kirsten Hillenbrand, who was racist towards Zoran Mamdani. I also noticed Hakeem Jeffries has failed to back Zoran Mamdani after he won the Democratic Party's New York mayoral race. That's because Hakeem Jeffries is a fucking Zionist. And Zohran Mamdani represents more than what half of people in the United States believe, according to many polls. And that is, we're not pro Israel. I'll put it like this: I'm a pretty social guy, pretty social person. I can think of one person that I know that is pro Israel, and they're an idiot. I wouldn't trust them as far as I could fucking throw them. Joe. But I think that what will happen eventually is I will feel better and have not have to have, I've spent $1,000 twice to get my dogs through the vet, right? That would keep, literally the reason we haven't already started the American Socialist Party is because I have six fucking animals. I'm a real person, and those animals come first. Yes. We have been too poor to take them to the vet for years, so yes. And fortunately, they all made it through the vet, and nobody really had any terrible things wrong with them, right? Funnily enough, my boys, both of them, Shepherd has a spot on his back that's cancerous. He'll have to have that removed. It's not bothering him. And then uh, Edmund, we gave him medication because he's anxious, and the trazodone caused ataxia and made it fucking worse. Huh? It's just funny that the boys are really struggling, right? They're the girls. All my girls are gas. It's just fucking true. The reason that I didn't already establish the American Socialist Party is I'm deathly afraid to throw away $1,000 that I would have needed to keep my animals alive. And I thought maybe I should just keep my animals alive, and then we'll start the American Socialist Party when I'm goddamn good and ready. I was thinking Labor Day. Kind of makes sense. Like Labor Day ish, or Labor Day weekend, to start like actually fundraising and shit. It would be like mean something. But also, I'd have the money at that point to like protect myself a little better than I am. Yeah, nobody. And then there's some things that you need to do along with like opening that bank account. Um, um, I need like a website. Um, I don't want to sell stuff. I don't want to be a shop. Uh, I also we need help. Like we obviously, I'm sure y'all will get involved, right? Um, but one of the things I want to make sure that it's a labor of love. It's not a something I'm going into thinking about making money off of, which is part of the reason that it's not uber important is because I got to focus on things that pay my bills. I put out this show every day, which is setting it all up, which is lining up my thoughts, right? Which is putting us into a spot where we have something that we've been doing for 9 months. We could put up a little link and put up a little banner scrolling across the bottom. Here's how much money we've raised, right? And were we tied to, um, say, Zoran Mondani in any way? I mean, I did make an ad for the guy basically on the internet. It was one of the most popular videos I've made recently, mostly because I'm trapped and being fucking silenced. But yeah, full. I'm one of those people. Full disclosure. You have to be like candid with other people, right? And just tell them the truth. The reason that we don't have more momentum is because I had to take my dogs to the vet, because they hadn't been in a while, and there wasn't nothing fucking wrong with them. One of them's got cancer, and the other one's like sick. But here or there, and I think that it shows that I'm human and not a fucking bot that didn't just. Because I think if it was anybody else other than me, they'd try to make money off it. And I don't think that you should. I think that if you're truly a socialist, you neither seek power nor profit. And I'm saying when you should is like when you're working your job. Hmm. But I've been telling people for a long time you should not care. You should care about them dollars. If you are not making, hmm, if you're in sales right now, or if you work from home and you don't make five figures a month after taxes, we probably need to talk. You need to make more money. You need to get out of debt. You need to protect yourself. You need to prepare for the future. It's not just stop using all these fucking sites, boycott, protest, and strike. It it might all also be go back to school. It might also be get a new job. Make yourself more mobile. It's one of the things that I see that's sticking out to me. Hey, y'all, you gotta move. It ain't just about exercise. It's like you gotta stay moving, be a harder target to hit by moving around more. So bear with me. I know that we don't know each other that well. Um, I've never tried to start a political party before. And what I think about as soon as I put my name out there, I become a target. I think about that a lot. And not that I want it, I don't want the negative attention, right? But there are people that are ignorant, and I live in a very ignorant state. I live in Indiana, right? So I think start making more content and trying to connect more with people in Indiana for my safety. Oh, I saw a statistic that I think is important. In the same field, in the same job, a union member will make $1,000 more a week than a non-union member. Ain't that fucking crazy? That's a crazy amount of money. In the same job, same role, a union laborer makes $1,000 more a week than a non-union laborer. It's all about dollars. Yeah, it's about how much money you get paid. And that statistic is even wider. That $1,000 a week more that union members earn than non-union members. Uh, Pilots, professional pilots, just got a billion plus. There's like a $3 billion profit sharing from their union. Some of those pilots got paid a milli for their life, for their dedication to their craft. That's what unions are good for. I have not seen an entity get payment for its workers. We've not seen it elsewhere. And pilots ain't the only ones. I'm trying to think of the other one that was recent. I want to say it was Pepsi. Their union, I'm pretty sure it's Pepsi. Their union negotiated for them. Most of them people got like a 3 to 5% raises, plus cash, plus the option for better health care. At small companies, when you're picking out what healthcare plan you want to make available for your employees, small enough employers pick shitty insurance on purpose because it costs less and they can pay their management more, their buddies more. hmm And that's a story about how nepotism is bad. Okay? It's awesome for those pilots. Hell yeah. Especially after all this shit Elon and Donald Trump have put them through in the last like 6 months. People, my whole life, uh, corporations have been busting up unions. I think I've told y'all this. I used to work for Radio Shack back in the day. I worked for Radio Shack for 4 years until they went out of business. I was literally there packing it all up. Isn't that fucking crazy? And I can tell you why they went out of business too, because they failed to adopt. They failed to adapt fast enough. They held on to a segment of inventory that they had no business holding. hmm I'm a fucking data analyst. I was in management at Radio Shack. And I spent 2 years working in kiosks for Radio Shack without even a full. My Radio Shack kiosk in Indianapolis here, that's inside a Sam's Club, up in Fishers, Indiana, we made more profit than a full Radio Shack store does. hmm And all we sold was cell phones. Ain't that fucking crazy though? Um, But when I worked at Radio Shack, and I worked for Radio Shack in a kiosk inside a Sam's Club. And so when I first went into Sam's Club, I had to watch their, and when I say their, I mean the Waltons anti-union shit. Like I'm talking about, I'm sitting in a room with a bunch of blue vests, and they're watching this shit, talking about there's no need to join a union. We make sure that we pay it fucking wages and shit like that. And then there's me sitting there, and I just came home from fucking Marine Corps infantry, like real hard work. And I'm like, I don't even fucking work for Sam's Club. And I ended up leaving that meeting and going talking to the fucking store manager and being like, hey, I'm sitting in this room watching this union busting video from with the Waltons names all over it. I don't have to watch that. I don't work for them. Yeah, it's part of the contract. Like, don't be forming a union. And I was just like, really? You know that's illegal. It's like a First Amendment violation. And he was like, what? And I was like, all right. So if somebody goes to form a union and you stop it, like you fire them, that's a First Amendment violation. The, everybody has the right to peaceably assemble. And he was just like, are you trying to get fired? And I'm like, I don't even work for Walmart. You can't fire me. And he's like, I could have you fired. And I was like, you should try. And so that was how I met my boss. It wasn't her scheduled day to work. And she came in and she was like, you just gotta cover the camera for Lamar Jackson added, or I'll leave. I don't care if you leave. But yeah, they were, she came in, she's like, you don't want to watch the video? And I was like, it's an anti union video. And she's like, yeah, that's Walmart. And I was like, I don't fucking work for Walmart. We were the number one kiosk for Radio Shack in the Midwest. We crushed. She and I were fucking great together until she stole six fucking phones and got busted up by the FBI. The fucking FBI came to my kiosk at Sam's Club. Like three agents in suits. Came up to me and was like, but yeah. And I think about that a lot because right before I was made to sit through a union busting video that Walmart made everybody watch, on the way in, it must have just been my walk, like how I walk. But the guy that was the greeter at that Sam's Club, he gave me a fucking salute, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I had just come home from fucking Marine Corps like 6 months ago, so I'm like, "Hey man, what's with the fucking rigidity in the salute?" And he was like, "Oh, you just seem like a." Oh, did you serve? And he's like, "Yeah, I was in the blah, 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 blah." And this dude's like pushing it, right? Like in age, he's elderly. And he's like, yeah, I was in the blah 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 whatever. And I was like, yeah, I was in the Marine Corps infantry. And he's like, ah, see, I told you. And like, whatever. And I was like, what are you doing here with a vest on? And he was like, oh, I worked for Sam's Club ever since I got out of the military. Worked for Walmart. And he's like, I was a store manager. You know, I was making, I can't remember what he said, he was making like 100 grand or whatever. And I was like, oh, awesome. And I was like, and now you're standing in front of the garden center greeting people. And he was like, yeah. And he kind of kicked rocks, right? Like, kicked the rocks. And I'm like, well, what's this pay? You used to be his store manager. What's this pay? And he was like, he looked me dead in the eye. 27 years he'd worked for fucking Sam's Club. $11 an hour. What? You've worked for these people for how the fuck long? And keep in mind, this was in the last 20 years. So not at all surprising. In Indiana. Because we live in an at-will employment state. So if he raises too much hell about having to take that massive pay cut, you got to do whatever a company asks you to do, or they can just fire you, and they don't have to have a reason for that. hmm So that's what happens, by the way, when you're not on contract and you have a pot to piss in. And by the way, fuck, man, my agent just said, I will file an appeal, but I have told everybody to stop talking about that subject unless you do it in code, and articles are not going to help that situation. I understand that it is likely very truthful information, but TikTok does not care. So, there's the word from the bird, which I fucking hate. Okay? Being censored is ass. But this is why we say we start this show with war and we end with eat the rich, right? Think about it. So yeah, what a wild time to be alive, right? So if you ever wondered, by the way, to finish that story, to kind of tie it all up, put a bow on it, see what happens when you don't do shit about a company union busting? They could do whatever the fuck they want. They could just fire your ass. And when you've come home from the military and it was X worse, all of a sudden you start to be like, ah, this ain't so bad. I keep getting promoted. Keep paying me more money. I made almost six figures. Do you know how much fucking money a fucking Walmart or Sam's Club makes in profit per year? And how they could only pay a store manager like six figs? And then eventually, when you get too old, they kick you to pasture, make you be the greeter, pay you like pennies on the dollar. That's what I'm fucking talking about. That don't happen in unions. Have a good rest of your day.